Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and today I am bringing you a 2 vs 2 in Rome 2 Total War, and this will also be on my new rig, so it'll be the first Rome 2 battle from my new PC. Gonna kind of test the waters here as well. It doesn't run nearly as bad as Total War Attila does, but it does have a tiny bit of lag here and there, so we'll see how this performs, but you can tell that these barbarians are far away from home. You can see the pyramids in the background, but these are, well, they're not really even a republic, or a kingdom. I don't even know what they would be considered, but this is Tylis. I am playing as Tylis, and my ally is the Boii, or the Boii tribe. These guys are super OP in Rome 2. You can see he's got a lot of Oathsworn here. We are moving forwards against our opponents, who are the Lusitani on the one side and Bactria on the other. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions really quickly, starting with my force over here. So I've gone with a very expensive cavalry build. I've got 5 units of these noble horse. They're extremely, well, they're very heavy melee cavalry, and they've got really, really good morale. And they've got a decent charge bonus as well. I could flip on the HUD here so you guys can kind of see. So they've got good morale, good health. And then over here, I believe I have 5 or 6 units of these tribal warriors. So they're not Oathsworn, but I think they're the next tier under. And they're still pretty elite. You can see their stats there. They've got some good morale, melee attack, and weapon damage are decent. They've got good melee defense and good armor as well. I'm just redeploying over here closer to my ally. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. I think I said 5, but I have 6. And then I have 4 units of these Celtic skirmishers in front. So we'll wait for the tribal warriors to move out of the way a bit there. So I'm going for a very light skirmisher build. I've got those javelins there. And then I've got 4 units of these Thracian warriors, and we're just running all around the battlefield right now. It's because I was trying to match what my ally was doing as far as positioning here. But yeah, I've got 4 units of these Thracian warriors. They're medium melee infantry, but as you can see, they've got some really large two-handed swords. So they're going to do well. And then my general here is an Oathsworn unit, so I've only got 1 Oathsworn. Let's take a look at just an overview shot of the Boii tribe, or the Boii. So he's got some spear warriors here. He's also got about 5 units of Celtic slingers, so he's got better range than I do. My skirmishers will have to get pretty close, but they'll have a lot of armor-piercing damage with the javelins. And then he's gone for heavy horse. So not the noble horse, the next one down. I believe he has 4 units of them. You can see the other 2 on the other side. He's also matching them with his spears, which is smart. And then he has some sword followers. I believe he has about 4 units of them, and then 5 units of Oathsworn. And his general is also an Oathsworn. And then looking at the Lusitani, you can tell they're in full retreat. They do not want to deal with this full-on charge from the Boii. But he's got some cavalry back here. He's got 2 units of Iberian cavalry. And then his infantry is solely consistent of Lusitani nobles. These guys are really, really good. They're very heavy melee infantry. You can see their stats there. They've got some really nice melee attack and melee defense. So I think he has 1, 2, let's see, 3, 4, 5 units of them. Plus his general would be 6. And then he has 2 units of these Scutari spearmen. So they're pretty cheap. He's just got 1 on each of the flanks. And then he has 6 units of Balearic slingers. 4, 5, 6, correction, 7 units of Balearic slingers, and they are actually already firing on the Boii. You can see the Oathsworn moving forwards. They're really not going to lose that many men coming into melee against them, though. But we need to go ahead and put this on slow motion because we got to look at Bactria before the battle begins. So Bactria went for an extremely defensive build, minus all of his horse archers. He's got 6 units of Bactrian horse archers, so you can see them here just coming into view. And then he has his general on an Indian armored elephant. And then back here he's got a few units of Thorax swordsmen. Well, he's got about 6 total. And then 7 units of Thorax pikemen. So this is going to be a big challenge for my men to break this defense. He has no interest in moving forwards at all, so we're going to have to come to him. So I think that's it. We can finally start the battle. And I'll just pop it back onto play there so we don't miss anything good. And I'll minimize this window here. So basically what I'm looking at right now is the positioning of the two allies. The two enemies. You can see that they're quite a distance apart. This heavy horse is getting caught down by these Lusitani nobles. They're throwing their pila. I don't even know if he realizes this, but he needs to charge in here. Oh, it's too late now, so he didn't even get the charge bonus off with that cavalry, so that's too bad. That's pretty much a throwaway unit there. You can see a lot of them falling off their horses, just to the relentless archer fire as well. For me, I'm kind of moving my swords into the center to deal with the pikes, and I'm moving all of my heavy horse onto the flanks. So I've got them all lined up here. I'm not scared of the enemy cavalry at all. Bactrian horse archers, they're basically just an annoyance. That's really it. They don't really have good stats, as you can see. They've got some good missile damage, but their range isn't the best. And if you can catch them in melee, they've basically got no armor and no melee defense, as you can see from the 17 melee defense and 35 armor. But basically what I'm doing here is the pikes are out, and I'm trying to get my units to get close enough to fire their pila. And I'm just going to start tearing apart these Thorak pikemen before even engaging in them. And I've got my javelin men in behind as well. So they're going to also focus the pikemen because they're the ones that I really need to attack first. I don't really care about his cavalry, like I said, and I don't really care about his Thorak swordsmen because toe-to-toe, my Tylis infantry will be the victor in that aspect. It's just the pikes that will turn the tide here. But enough of that. The battle is already beginning over here, so let's zoom in to the Boii against the Lusitanis. And I've got all my graphics finally up onto extreme, so we're looking for some nice, crisp gameplay here. Lusitani nobles against the Oathsworn, that isn't going to be a tough job for them. Yeah, you can kind of see the overview here, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Because the Bactrian player is so far away from his ally, I'm actually going to get a nice charge with my Thracian warriors into the back of these Lusitani nobles, and I've got even more units coming here. Let's jump into this charge here, these Lusitani nobles. Yeah, so they're not even going to get a charge bonus off on me. I'm going to be able to come right in here and cut them down. Now, these Lusitani nobles will hold for a very, very long time, and they will best my tribal warriors in melee for sure. But you can see I'm peeling one unit one way and one unit another. And the Bactrian player is playing so defensively that I'm actually able to get my 3 units of heavy horse completely around his army. So he didn't really stop me with any of his horse archers, so I was able to bring these 3 units of heavy horse over, or noble horse, I'm sorry. And now we're going to cause some trouble for the Lusitani, because as you can see, he's actually doing quite well on his side. The general is engaged against some Oathsworn, but we got some sword followers here. That are fighting Balearic Slingers. They need to get into the back of this Lusitani noble here, because the Boii are having a tough time. I was actually surprised at how well these Lusitani nobles did against the Oathsworn. Oh, we got a little 1v1 duel here. Oh, he's kind of just forcing them back into line with the other nobles. He's dead now. But let's take a look at what's going on here. Yes, you can see that my noble horse has been engaged. Here comes another charge into the side of these Iberian swordsmen, which I forgot to show you. My apologies. I think he had only one of these units, though. But yeah, that's going to be a huge problem for the Lusitani. You can see that a lot of their units are already starting to break. But then again, so are my Thracians. And you can see that he's actually moving forwards with his Thorak swordsman. He's not even pushing forwards with his pikes, which was interesting. But look at these pike units here. Down to 65, this one. 107 out of 160. This one's still pretty healthy, but this one's 66, 69, and 138. So that just goes to show you not to rush into melee against pikemen. Just take your time. If you've got your pila, try and use your pila. But yeah, the battle lines have formed here. I believe, like I said before, that these thorax swordsmen are inferior to my troops. But as soon as those pikemen begin to push forwards... Oh, yes, I forgot to show you. There's a nice charge I got into the backs of those thorax pikemen with my heavy horse. I'm sorry, I forgot that I had done that. Yeah, so I got a nice rear charge. You can see he's pushing his pikes forwards now. And he's trying to catch my horse with his thorax swordsman unit. But I'm just going to charge my heavy horse over here. And he was so slow in moving his Bactrian horse archers that I was able to catch them. And that's a bad thing for these Bactrian horse archers. You can see over here I'm starting to wrap them up as well, or just kind of chase them away from the battlefield. And the Lusitani has been utterly wiped out here. We can actually put this on slow motion for a minute because we're missing a lot of the battle. He was going to try, the Bactrian player was going to try to charge his general in, but I sacrificed my noble horse unit just to kind of tie him up a little bit. I know that they're really not going to do very well against elephants, but I'd rather that than him wrecking my entire infantry line. And I'm just going to kind of scroll down here so you guys can see the battle lines forming. The Bactrian player, he was playing well. Like, I'm not here to tear him up or anything. It's just when he brings such a defensive army like pikemen, you really have to kind of think outside the box as to what you were actually going to do. And I remember when I was building my army composition, I almost didn't even bring any skirmishers at all, but I was once I saw that there were so many pikes, I was really thankful that I brought those 4 units of Celtic skirmishers, because they can really help you in a pinch. But yeah, you can see how the pikes have pushed forwards now. If I get a close-up, zoom-up look here, you can see how long the pikes are, and they're just really protecting the thorax swordsmen with the pikes, because as soon as my men try to push towards the thorax swordsmen, they'll get poked back by these pikes. Ooh, that almost went into his chest plate there. But yeah, let's see how else we're doing over here. It's turned back on the HUD. So yeah, I've completely shattered them in the center with that really good, well-timed charge with my heavy horse. And I've just running down my, the Bactrian horse archers with my cav. You can see over here I'm actually chasing away 3 units with 1 unit of noble horse. So that's a really effective use. And I've got my ally coming over as well. He's sending over some heavy horse. He's got some Oathsworn still left as well. But the balance of power isn't with us yet. It's still slightly in favor of the enemies, which is a little concerning. But let's go ahead and turn this back onto play here. And my general also has a Pila, so I'm trying to line him up behind these thorax pikemen so that we can get a nice throw into their backs. Yeah, there we go. Mostly over here. Really hitting those pikes hard. And now I'm just going to wrap in around and enclose these pikemen. You can see most of them, some of them tried to face the correct way, but most of them are facing the wrong way. However, over here, this is going to be a massive problem for me. All of my tribal warriors being attacked by these Indian war elephants, and they're just going to wipe us out. Yeah, big trouble, these Indian war elephants. They're really hard to take down, and they're really hard to pin down as well with infantry and cavalry. You can just see the amount that they've slaughtered with that one charge. They've completely routed this entire flank, which was a little worrisome for me. I'm quickly trying to get some of my soldiers to stop them because he still has some very healthy units over here. So the battle is now in our favor, but it's definitely not over yet. The only reason it's in our favor was because we finally broke this flank. It's a cool shot, though. We've got all these soldiers marching into the next phase of the battle. But if you see this back line here, this is how many pikemen I was able to slaughter with my javelins and with my Pila. Just look how many are on the ground. And I think that's what really gave me the edge in this stage of the game, because if I just charged headlong into all of the Bactrians' pikes, I would have been slaughtered. Completely slaughtered. Let's get some zoom ins to the backs of these thorax swordsmen. You can see, I believe that's my ally, the Boii horseman, towering over them. And I'm not sure if they're breaking or if they're holding in. Looks like we got some of the Lusitani cav in there as well. You can see the red and yellow. Oh, it looks like they're disappearing from view. Yes, so they are broken. Getting a nice charge in with my heavy horse here, or my noble horse, sorry. Nice charge into the backs of those thorax swordsmen, just pinning those elephants down for a little while longer. Look at the size of the elephant compared to these horses, though. Their sounds are just terrifying, too. Trying to save his pikemen with those elephants. But yeah, here comes the rest of my heavy horse. The elephants are still at 22 out of 24, which is insane. I've barely gotten any of them killed here. We've got a really depleted unit of pikemen that we're facing the wrong way. Looks like the heavy horse from the Boii tribe is going to be trying to take care of them. But yeah, this is pretty much the last bit. We can go ahead and just pop this on slow motion, kind of take maybe a little bit of an aerial view of what's going on. So yeah, you can see that these pikemen, they're actually facing fewer troops than are behind them. But unfortunately, you know, I understand where the Bactrian player is coming from, because he can't really turn them around effectively at this stage of the game. But just look, there's like 30 soldiers here that are just facing the wrong way. Unfortunately, he does have some thorax swordsmen here as well, which are trying to hold back my my noble horse. I keep wanting to call them heavy horse, but it's pretty clear now. If we turn on the HUD, you can see that the balance of power is really shifting into our favor. But not before more of my Thracian warriors are breaking to these Indian elephants. And I'm just gonna let it run in play now for the last 30 seconds, so that I can hear these elephants. I wonder which one's the general. Probably this guy with the sword right here, actually. You can see all my soldiers trying to mob the general there. And there we go, a costly victory. And let's take a look at the results before we end the battle. So thanks very much to Zach Bisane. I believe that's, or I don't know how, I think that's how you would say your name. And then Tane was Lusitani, and then Corvo Snow, aka Dark Chocolate, was Bactria. So we take a look at my stats first. My general doing very well. All of my noble horse doing pretty well. But look at all these kills, these skirmishers, and those are all on pikemen. So that was really, really useful. And then with my tribal warriors as well, a lot of them getting really high kills, and I think that's due to their Pila. At least 30 kills probably per one were to the Pila. And my Thracian warriors doing not bad as well for pretty cheap units. I think these are only 420 or something like that. And then for the Boii tribe, his heavy horse doing very well. His slingers were kind of hit and miss. Not really that well, I would say. And then even his Oathsworn, a couple of the units really not paying for themselves. 57, 58, and 74. That's a little too low for Oathsworn. But the Spear Warriors really pulling their weight there. Or sorry, the Sword Followers pulling their weight. And then looking at Tane, his Iberian Cavalry did well. His General did well. His Slingers not so well, but except for that one unit. And his Lusitani Nobles all did exceptional. This one getting 344 kills. I think that's the most so far. Yeah, it looks like. Except that's what I was going to say. The General of Bactria winning the day with 370 kills from the Indian War Elephants. But yeah, these Bactrian Horse Archers really not getting any kills at all. The Pikes getting pretty much 0 kills. This one didn't do too bad. And then the Thorax Swordsmen were really the best on the team. and they suffered as well. So again, no pointing out to the Bactrian player. We all made mistakes there. I think the only reason that we were able to win is these two factions are pretty overpowered. I acknowledge that. And secondly, these two enemies, they were deployed too far apart, so I was really able to lend quite a big hand in destroying the Lusitani, and then we were able to kind of double team Bactria. And then the third thing is the Bactrian player just needed more archers, I think. He needed some skirmishers, and he needed non-bow cav to kind of harass my heavy horse. But yeah, enough of that. I'm sure you've heard me blab on for enough. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one.